Daniel Wright stood at the command center, eyes fixed on the holographic display, showing yet another destroyed human outpost. This marked the fifth attack in as many weeks. As commander of Earth's defense fleet, he had watched the pattern emerge with growing concern. "Commander, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Olivia Garcia, hurrying into the room with a data tablet. Her usual composure was replaced by barely contained urgency. Daniel took the tablet, scanning the information with narrowed eyes. "You're certain about this?" "Yes, sir. We've confirmed it across multiple sources. These aren't isolated incidents. The attacks are coordinated across at least 3 different alien species." The revelation wasn't entirely surprising, but having confirmation sent a chill through Daniel's spine. For nearly 40 years, humanity had reached out to the stars with messages of peace and cooperation. The response had been mixed at best, hostile at worst. "They're testing our defenses," Daniel said quietly, "probing for weaknesses." "That's not all, sir." Olivia pulled up another file. "Dr. Phillips has been analyzing intercepted communications. He's waiting to brief you." In the adjacent conference room, Dr. Sam Phillips was surrounded by floating screens of data. The first contact specialist had dark circles under his eyes from days without proper sleep. "Commander Wright," Sam nodded in greeting. "It's worse than we thought. These aren't just random attacks. There's evidence of a coalition forming specifically to contain Earth's expansion." "Contain?" Daniel questioned. "Their term, not mine. From what we've gathered, several established galactic powers view humanity's rapid technological advancement as a threat. They don't want another competitor in their carefully balanced power structure." Daniel paced the room. "We've done nothing to provoke this. We followed every diplomatic protocol." "That's just it," Sam explained. "Our willingness to cooperate is being interpreted as weakness. In the wider galactic community, peaceful species are typically those who couldn't defend themselves if they wanted to." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had ventured into space hoping to find wisdom and friendship. Instead, they'd encountered the same territorial conflicts that had plagued Earth's own history. "What's our current alert status?" Daniel asked. "Level 3 across all colonies," Olivia replied. "But sir, we should consider raising it. The intercepted communications suggest something bigger might be coming." Their discussion was interrupted by a priority alert. The main screen activated to show a live feed from Earth's diplomatic mission on Geneva Station. What they witnessed would later be known simply as the Geneva Incident. The station, hosting representatives from 17 Earth nations and 6 alien delegations, erupted in fire as multiple explosions tore through its hull. The feed cut to static as the station's central dome collapsed. 3,000 people, gone in an instant. "Get me the Secretary General," Daniel ordered, his voice tight with controlled fury. Within hours, emergency sessions convened across Earth. For the first time in decades, the planet's nations stood in complete unity. The debate was short, the vote unanimous. Humanity had extended the hand of friendship and had it slapped away once too often. The Stardust Protocol, a contingency that many had hoped would never be needed, was officially authorized. "The order is confirmed," the Secretary General told Daniel in a private call later that night. "Project Horizon is now active. We tried peace. We tried patience. But the galaxy has chosen to mistake our restraint for weakness." Daniel nodded grimly. "I understand, Madam Secretary." "Commander Wright," she continued, her voice heavy with the weight of the decision, "humanity will not be bullied into extinction. It's time we made that perfectly clear to the galaxy." As Daniel ended the call, he knew that everything would change. Humanity had reached its breaking point, and soon the stars themselves would tremble. Natalie Winters had always been brilliant, but the technology she had created now terrified her. Standing in the massive underground laboratory of Project Horizon, she watched as technicians prepared for another test. "Are we ready, Dr. Winters?" Jack Morgan asked, joining her at the observation window. As the chief engineer, Jack had transformed her theoretical work into something tangible, something deadly. "The energy containment field is stable," Natalie replied, checking her monitors. "But Jack, have you really thought about what we're building here?" Jack's expression hardened. Every night since Geneva. Project Horizon had begun as a theoretical physics experiment years before the attacks. Natalie had been researching ways to manipulate fundamental forces when she discovered something unexpected, a method to temporarily alter the cohesion of matter itself. In peaceful times, it might have revolutionized energy production. Now, it was becoming the most powerful weapon ever conceived. "Energy capacity at maximum," called one of the technicians. "Ready for test sequence." Beyond the reinforced walls of the testing chamber, a perfectly ordinary rock floated in a containment field. It was just a simple asteroid fragment, collected from the belt where this secret facility had been constructed. "Begin the test," Jack ordered. The air hummed with building energy. A beam of pale blue light surrounded the rock. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, silently, the rock began to come apart, not breaking, but dissolving as its atomic bonds simply ceased to exist. In 7 seconds, all that remained was a cloud of elemental particles. "Success," someone murmured, but no one celebrated. "If the scaling calculations are correct," Natalie said quietly, "this effect could be applied to an entire planet." The door to the observation deck slid open, and Grace Williams entered. As the intelligence officer assigned to Project Horizon, she had just returned from a deep cover mission. "Dr. Winters, Mr. Morgan," she acknowledged with a nod. "I see the tests are progressing." "How was your mission, Captain Williams?" Jack asked. Grace's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Enlightening. I spent 3 months posing as a diplomatic aide on 4 different alien worlds. Want to know what I found? They're not stopping. The Geneva attack was just the beginning. There are at least 7 species actively planning military actions against Earth colonies." Natalie shook her head. "But why? We've done nothing to threaten them." "Our existence threatens them," Grace explained. "Humans advance quickly. We adapt. We innovate. Many of these civilizations took thousands of years to develop technologies we mastered in decades. They fear what we'll become in another century. So they decided to eliminate us first," Jack concluded. "Precisely." The 3 stood in silence, watching as technicians reset the chamber for another test. "The ethics committee is meeting tomorrow," Natalie said finally. "They'll want our progress report and recommendations. I'll be presenting the intelligence findings," Grace added. "But we all know what the decision will be." Jack turned to face them both. "We're not talking about using this yet. The first step is to warn them, to show them we're not helpless." "A demonstration," Grace nodded. "Powerful enough that they can't ignore it, but controlled enough to show restraint." Natalie closed her eyes briefly. When she'd begun her research, she dreamed of advancing human knowledge, not creating a weapon that could unmake worlds. Yet Geneva Station's destruction played in her mind, the thousands of lives snuffed out because aliens had judged humanity too dangerous to exist as equals. "I never wanted this," she whispered. Grace placed a hand on her shoulder. "None of us did, but sometimes the only path to peace is through strength." On the main display, the countdown began for the next test. The Horizon device was nearly ready. Soon, the galaxy would receive humanity's response to aggression, one final warning before the stars themselves trembled. William Foster straightened his uniform as he prepared to leave his quarters aboard the Harbinger. The ship, humanity's most advanced diplomatic vessel, had traveled farther than any human ship before it. Outside his window, the massive structure known as the Galactic Council headquarters loomed, a sprawling station where representatives from over 200 spacefaring civilizations gathered to discuss matters of shared importance. "Ambassador Foster, we've received clearance to dock," the ship's captain informed him through the communication system. "The Council has granted your request for an emergency audience." "Thank you, Captain," William replied. His voice was calm, but his hands trembled slightly as he placed a small data device in his pocket. Never before had a human carried such a grave message. William had been chosen for this mission because of his reputation. Before the attacks on human outposts, he had successfully negotiated trade agreements with 3 different alien species. He was known for his measured words and cool temperament. Today, those skills would be tested as never before. The Harbinger docked smoothly at the diplomatic bay. William walked alone down the ramp, refusing the security detail that had been offered. This message had to be delivered by a single human, standing tall and unafraid. Inside the council chamber, representatives from dozens of worlds filled the tiered seating. Some were roughly humanoid, while others were utterly alien in form. Many shifted uncomfortably as William entered. The Geneva incident was known throughout the galaxy, yet few had expected Earth to send a representative so soon after. "The Council recognizes William Foster of Earth," announced the Presiding Elder, a tall, thin being with silvery skin. "You have requested this emergency session. The floor is yours." William stood at the center of the chamber. The silence was absolute. "For 40 years," he began, his voice clear and strong, "humanity has reached out to the stars in peace. We have shared our knowledge freely. We have respected boundaries and followed protocols established long before we achieved space travel." He paused, looking around the chamber. "In return, we have been attacked. Not once, not twice, but systematically. The destruction of Geneva Station was not an isolated incident, but the culmination of a coordinated campaign against my species." Murmurs spread through the chamber. William continued before they could interrupt. "I come before you today not to ask for justice, not to beg for protection." His voice hardened. "I come to deliver a warning from Earth." William removed the data device from his pocket and placed it on the central podium. It projected a holographic display showing the coordinates of an uninhabited star system. "In 7 standard days, Earth will demonstrate a technology we have developed. Representatives from all worlds are invited to observe remotely from a safe distance. After that demonstration, you will understand that while humanity prefers peace, we are fully capable of defending ourselves against any threat." The chamber erupted in voices. Some demanded explanations. Others shouted threats. The Presiding Elder raised a hand for silence. "Ambassador Foster, is this some kind of ultimatum?" "No," William replied calmly. "An ultimatum implies negotiations. This is simply information, a courtesy before we change the nature of our relationship with the galaxy." A representative from one of the more militaristic species stood. "You dare threaten the combined might of the Council. Earth is but one world, barely out of its infancy." William smiled slightly. "We are not threatening anyone. We are merely informing you that attacks against Earth and its colonies will no longer be tolerated. Attend the demonstration or don't. The choice is yours." As the chamber dissolved into chaos, William turned and walked toward the exit. At the doorway, he paused and looked back at the assembled representatives. "You were warned," he said quietly. "Bear witness." The doors closed behind him as he left the council in disarray. The message had been delivered. In 7 days, the galaxy would understand exactly what it meant to provoke humanity's wrath. The demonstration fleet arrived at the designated star system precisely on schedule. 5 ships in total, small by military standards, but each represented the pinnacle of human engineering. At the center of the formation was the EDS Challenger, carrying the prototype Horizon device. Captain Allison Reed stood on the bridge of the Challenger, watching as her crew made final preparations. The uninhabited system had been chosen carefully. A yellow star with 7 planets, none supporting life, far from established trade routes. "Status report," Allison ordered. "All systems nominal, Captain," her first officer responded. "The Horizon device is at full charge. We've detected 17 observation vessels at the perimeter of the system, maintaining the recommended safe distance." Allison nodded. Following William Foster's warning at the Galactic Council, Most major powers had sent ships to witness whatever demonstration Earth had planned. Some had arrived expecting a bluff. Others had sent military vessels, shields raised, weapons ready. "Any communication from the observers?" she asked. "One message from the Zentari vessel," the communications officer replied. "They're demanding to know what we're planning. The others are maintaining communication silence." "No response necessary," Allison said. "Begin the countdown sequence." On the lower deck of the Challenger, Jack Morgan made final adjustments to the Horizon device. The machine hummed with contained power, its core glowing with soft blue light. "Energy pathways stable," he reported through his comlink. "Ready when you are, Captain." Allison took a deep breath. Once activated, there would be no turning back. Humanity would forever be changed in the eyes of the galaxy. "Attention all Earth vessels," she announced. "We are proceeding with the demonstration. Deploy the marker buoys." Small drones launched from each human ship, forming a perfect sphere around the fifth planet in the system, a gas giant approximately twice the size of Jupiter. These buoys would record everything that happened and broadcast it across all known communication frequencies. "All personnel, secure for Horizon activation," Allison ordered. "Targeting locks confirmed on the fifth planet. Initiate the sequence." Jack Morgan's voice came through the comlink, steady and professional despite the gravity of the moment. "Initiating Horizon sequence. Phase 1 active." A beam of concentrated energy shot from the Challenger toward the gas giant. For several seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a small point of brilliant light appeared at the planet's equator. "Phase 2 active," Jack reported. The point of light expanded, spreading across the planet's surface like ripples in a pond. The gas giant's swirling clouds began to still, then flatten, as if the very nature of matter was being rewritten. "Phase 3 active. Full power." The change accelerated exponentially. The planet's form began to dissolve, not exploding outward, but simply unraveling. Layer by layer, the massive world came apart at the subatomic level. Where once had been a planet now existed only a perfectly spherical cloud of base particles. But the demonstration wasn't finished. "Extending field," Jack announced. The effect spread outward from where the planet had been. The planet's moons disintegrated as the field touched them. Then the field expanded further, enveloping the significant portion of the star system. Asteroids, space dust, even light itself seemed to bend and distort within the field's influence. For exactly 7 minutes, the Horizon device maintained this impossible distortion of reality. Then, with methodical precision, it shut down. Where once had been a planet and its moons, now existed nothing but an eerily perfect void. On the observation vessels surrounding the system, stunned silence prevailed. Sensors recorded what had happened, but many beings refused to believe what they were seeing. A technology that could unmake matter itself at such a scale was beyond theoretical. It was godlike. "Demonstration complete," Allison announced to her crew. "Prepare for return to Earth space." As the human fleet turned away, the communication channels suddenly exploded with urgent messages from the observation vessels. Demands for explanation. Pleas for restraint. Offers of immediate negotiation. Humanity had delivered its warning. The universe was listening now. The Galactic Council chamber bore little resemblance to the room William Foster had visited just days before. Gone was the atmosphere of dismissive superiority. Instead, the air hummed with barely contained panic as representatives from dozens of species spoke in urgent whispers. When the doors opened to admit the human delegation, silence fell immediately. Captain Allison Reed led the group, flanked by Dr. Natalie Winters and 3 security officers. Unlike Foster's solo mission, this delegation arrived with clear military presence, a calculated decision to reinforce humanity's new posture. The presiding elder's voice quavered slightly as he called the emergency session to order. "The Council recognizes the representatives from Earth." Allison stepped forward, her uniform bearing the insignia of Earth's defense fleet. "Thank you for convening this session so quickly." "Quickly?" A representative from the Vordax Imperium stood, his scaled skin flushed with anger. You dismantled an entire planet. Did you expect us to wait? Not just a planet, added the Tellarite ambassador, her multiple eyes blinking rapidly. Our scientists have confirmed that the Horizon device altered fundamental forces within the target area. Such technology should be impossible. Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Allison waited patiently until they subsided. The technology is very real, as you've all witnessed, she stated calmly. I've brought Dr. Natalie Winters, the scientist responsible for its development, to answer your technical questions. Natalie stepped forward, looking far less comfortable than Allison in the chamber. The Horizon device functions by temporarily suspending the weak nuclear force within a defined field. The effect cascades, causing atomic bonds to simply release. Could this weapon be deployed against inhabited worlds? Asked a representative from the back of the chamber. Yes, Natalie answered honestly, though we chose an uninhabited system specifically to demonstrate restraint. The chamber erupted again, voices raised in fear and outrage. The Presiding Elder required several minutes to restore order. What are Earth's demands? He finally asked, getting to the heart of the matter. Allison's expression remained neutral. Earth has no demands. We have boundaries. The systematic attacks against our colonies will cease immediately. Any civilization found to be planning or executing actions against human interests will face the consequences demonstrated in the test system. You cannot expect the galaxy to simply bow to threats. The Vordax representative shouted. We expect nothing of the sort, Allison replied. We expect to be left in peace to develop our civilization. We expect the same respect shown to other spacefaring species. We have never sought conflict, only our rightful place among the stars. The Tellarite ambassador leaned forward. And if we refuse these boundaries? Allison didn't answer. She didn't need to. The images from the demonstration had been broadcast across every communication channel in known space. After a tense silence, a new voice spoke, softer, more measured than the others. The representative from the ancient Eldari collective, a species known for their philosophical approach to galactic politics. Perhaps, the Eldari suggested, we should consider that we have misjudged our human neighbors. They developed this technology not to conquer, but in response to our aggression. They demonstrated it on an uninhabited world, rather than striking directly at those who attacked them. These are not the actions of conquerors, but of a species seeking to defend itself. Murmurs again, but thoughtful now rather than panicked. Earth is willing to establish new diplomatic relations with all interested parties, Allison offered. Our ambassador, Eric Foster, will remain here to begin those discussions. As she turned to leave, the Presiding Elder called out, Captain Reed, what guarantee do we have that Earth won't use this weapon offensively once diplomatic relations are established? Allison paused at the doorway. The same guarantee you've always had from humanity. Our word. We seek peace, but will no longer tolerate aggression. The choice of how we proceed from here belongs to all of us. As the human delegation departed, the council chamber remained silent. The message was clear. The galaxy's relationship with humanity had changed forever. Eric Foster found diplomatic work much easier these days. As he sat in the newly established Earth Embassy on the Galactic Council Station, he reflected on how quickly things had changed. 6 months had passed since the demonstration of the Horizon device. 6 months of rapid, sweeping changes across the known galaxy. Ambassador Foster, the Xilari delegation has arrived, his assistant announced. Show them in, please, Eric replied, straightening the documents on his desk. The Xilari were the latest species to sign the non-aggression pact that had become the cornerstone of Earth's new foreign policy. The tall, insectoid beings had once been among the most vocal opponents of human expansion. Now they entered the room with respectful caution. Ambassador Foster, the lead Xilari greeted with a formal bow. We bring the signed agreement, approved by our Council of Hives. Eric accepted the document with a smile. Earth welcomes the Xilari's commitment to peaceful coexistence. This marks the 38th species to join the pact. After completing the formalities, Eric escorted the delegation to where Dr. Kelly Bennett waited to discuss cultural exchange opportunities. Kelly had pioneered the program that now brought students and scholars from across the galaxy to Earth, while sending humans outward to learn from other civilizations. "We've prepared housing that matches your environmental needs," Kelly explained to the Xilari. "And we've selected 20 human candidates who expressed specific interest in Xilari biology and social structures." Most generous, the Xilari representative clicked. "We have similar accommodations ready for your people." Eric watched the exchange with satisfaction. 6 months ago, such friendly discussion would have been unimaginable. The Xilari had once published articles calling humans dangerously unpredictable primates. Now they were discussing student exchanges. Later that day, Eric attended a session of the newly formed Multi-Species Monitoring Committee. Representatives from 12 worlds sat around a circular table, reviewing reports from joint security patrols. "The situation in the Cygnus sector has stabilized," reported the Tellarate security chief. "No unauthorized military movements detected. The trade routes near Earth's colonies are showing increased traffic," added a human representative. "Mainly civilian commercial vessels." The meeting continued with similar reports, all pointing toward growing stability in regions that had once been flashpoints for conflict. The monitoring committee had been Earth's idea, a transparent system where all signatories to the Non-Aggression Pact could verify compliance and address concerns before they escalated. As the meeting concluded, the Eldari representative approached Eric privately. "Your people have surprised us all," the ancient being said softly. "When you revealed the Horizon technology, many expected Earth to use it to dominate the galaxy. Instead, you've used your position to create a more equitable system." Eric nodded. "That was always our intention. The demonstration was never about power for its own sake. Yet you maintain the technology," the Eldari observed. "Yes," Eric acknowledged. "And we continue to develop safeguards to ensure it can never be misused or stolen. Think of it as a locked door. Not because we distrust our neighbors, but because good boundaries make for good relationships." The Eldari made a sound that might have been laughter. "Wisdom from such a young species. Perhaps that is why you frighten some still." Later that evening, Eric transmitted his weekly report back to Earth. The Non-Aggression Pact continued to gain signatures. The knowledge exchange protocols were functioning as designed, allowing for the sharing of beneficial technologies while protecting sensitive information. Trade between Earth and alien worlds had increased by 300% since the demonstration. Most importantly, there had been no attacks on human colonies in 6 months. The message had been received. As Eric finished his report, he gazed out at the stars visible through his office window. Humanity had gained its place in the galaxy through an act of terrible potential. Now they were working to ensure such power would never need to be used again. 5 years had passed since the day humanity had shown the galaxy its power. Daniel Wright stood at the observation deck of the orbital station Guardian Edge, watching Earth slowly rotate below. Once merely a commander in Earth's defensive fleet, he now held the rank of admiral and led the multi-species peacekeeping initiative. Beautiful view, isn't it? Olivia Garcia joined him at the window. Now a colonel, she headed the cross-species security division, working directly with former adversaries to maintain the hard-won peace. Never gets old, Daniel agreed, especially knowing it's safe. The station around them was a testament to how much had changed. Guardian Edge orbited Earth as both a defense platform and a symbol of the new galactic order. Representatives from 27 alien species worked alongside humans here, monitoring compliance with the Non-Aggression Pact and coordinating joint ventures. "The Zentari delegation is arriving in an hour," Olivia reminded him. "First official state visit from their new leadership." Daniel nodded. "I'll be there." The Zentari were among our fiercest opponents before the demonstration. Their presence here is significant. They walked together through the station's main concourse. passing aliens and humans working side by side. Some species that had once considered humanity barely worthy of notice now sent their brightest minds to learn from Earth scientists. Others, who had actively planned Earth's destruction, now participated in joint military exercises. "Do you ever wonder if we did the right thing?" Olivia asked quietly, using the threat of the Horizon device to force this peace. Daniel considered the question carefully. It was one that many humans still debated, even 5 years later. "I believe we did what was necessary," he finally answered. "Before the demonstration, we were facing extinction. Now we have a voice. And more importantly, we've used that voice to create something better than what existed before." The Horizon device itself remained Earth's most closely guarded secret. The original prototype was secured in a facility so deep beneath the lunar surface that most people didn't know it existed. Natalie Winters and her team continued their research, not to improve the weapon's destructive capability, but to ensure it could never be used against humanity. "Admiral Wright, Colonel Garcia," a voice called from behind them. They turned to see Dr. Sam Phillips approaching, accompanied by 3 Eldari visitors. "Our guests were interested in meeting the humans who delivered Earth's warning 5 years ago," Sam explained. The eldest Eldari stepped forward. "We have studied the events surrounding what you call the demonstration. Most fascinating was not the technology itself, but the restraint with which it was used." Daniel smiled diplomatically. "Earth never wanted war. We simply refused to be victims." Later that day, the Zentari delegation arrived. Their massive ship docked with careful precision, and the delegation emerged. Tall, ridge-backed beings whose species had once published tactical assessments of how to most efficiently eradicate humanity. "Admiral Wright," the Zentari leader greeted him with a formal bow. "My government sends its respects to Earth and its people." The formal reception proceeded smoothly, with speeches about cooperation and mutual benefit. What struck Daniel most was the absence of fear in the Zentari delegation. 5 years ago, there had been terror. 3 years ago, cautious respect. Now, something approaching genuine friendship. That evening, after the formalities concluded, Daniel returned to the observation deck. Earth glowed blue and white below, peaceful under the stars. Olivia joined him again, handing him a cup of coffee. "Successful day." "Yes," he agreed. "Though sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we hadn't developed the Horizon technology. If we'd remained just another vulnerable species trying to find our place. We might not be here at all," Olivia suggested. Daniel nodded. "Or perhaps we'd have found another way." Humanity has always been resourceful. They stood in comfortable silence, watching their home planet turn. The universe had indeed trembled at humanity's warning. But in that trembling, something unexpected had emerged. A more balanced galaxy where Earth's voice was heard and respected. Not through domination, but through the careful application of strength, and the wisdom to know when not to use it. That, Daniel reflected, might be humanity's greatest achievement of all. 10 years had passed since humanity's warning had forever changed the galaxy. On a small remote planet called Nerissa, far from Earth but under its protection, a unique gathering took place. Andrew Miller, once a junior officer during the demonstration of the Horizon device, now served as Earth's representative to this frontier world. Today he watched as ships from 7 different species landed in the designated clearing outside the colony's main settlement. "Nervous?" asked Linda Reeves, the colony's governor. "A little," Andrew admitted. "This is the first time representatives from all the founding races will meet in such an informal setting." The gathering had been Linda's idea, not a diplomatic summit or a formal negotiation, but a cultural celebration. Food, music, art, and stories from across the galaxy, shared on equal terms. "The Exilari ship is beautiful," Linda remarked as the insectoid being's crystalline vessel touched down, refracting sunlight in dazzling patterns. One by one, the delegations emerged. The tall, ridge-backed Zentari, the luminous, floating Eldari, the 6-limbed Tellarites, the scaled Vordax, Each had once viewed humans as dangerous upstarts. Now they came as guests, carrying offerings from their homeworlds. Andrew stepped forward to welcome them. On behalf of Earth and the colony of Nerissa, I welcome you all. There are no protocols today, no negotiations, just the simple sharing of who we are. The central plaza had been transformed for the occasion. Sections displayed artwork from each civilization. Cooking stations offered foods from a dozen worlds. Musicians tuned strange instruments, preparing to blend sounds never before combined. As the day progressed, Andrew found himself speaking with a young Zentari scholar named Cress. I was barely mature when the demonstration occurred, Cress admitted. I remember the panic, the fear that Earth would use its power to dominate us all. Many humans feared the same, Andrew replied honestly. Power can corrupt, even with the best intentions. Yet it didn't happen, Cress observed. Instead, Earth used its position to build something new. They walked past a group of human and elderly children playing together, inventing a game that incorporated elements from both cultures. My grandfather was a military strategist, Cress continued. He told me something interesting before I traveled here. He said that Earth's greatest weapon was never the Horizon device. Oh, what was it then? Your species' ability to turn enemies into friends, Cress replied. He studied your history. You've done it repeatedly, even among your own nations. Former enemies becoming strongest allies. Andrew had never considered it that way. The demonstration had been a desperate act by a species facing extinction. The peace that followed had been built day by day, relationship by relationship. As evening fell, the gathered species assembled for a ceremony that combined elements from all their cultures. Each representative placed a small stone in a circular pattern, symbolizing their connected faiths. When Andrew's turn came, he placed Earth's stone, a simple piece of granite from the human homeworld. 10 years ago, humanity sent a warning to the galaxy, he said, his voice carrying across the quiet gathering. Today, we offer something different, an invitation, not to fear us, not to submit to us, but to build something together that none of us could create alone. The Eldari representative, whose species had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, moved forward. For eons, the pattern of galactic history has been the same. Species rise, compete, conquer, and eventually fall. Earth showed us the power to break that cycle, not through the weapon they created, but through the choice of how to use their strength. As stars appeared in the night sky above Nerissa, music began. An improvised harmony played on instruments from 7 worlds. Children who had been playing together all day now sat quietly, watching the stars where their shared future waited. The universe had indeed trembled at humanity's warning. But in that trembling, something beautiful had begun to grow.